Hi everyone, good evening and welcome to this event. Before we start, I request everyone to please put your phones on silent mode. It's a kind request. Alright, a very warm welcome to all of you and thank you for joining us. It's wonderful to see a lot of leaders, decision makers and innovators across industries under one roof. Thanks again for joining us. Well, I am Drishti and I'll be the host for this evening. Before starting the event and before inviting our keynote speaker, I have a quick question for everyone here. Can I? Okay. So how many of us have at least discussed about AI today? Can we please raise our hands? All of them. Okay, almost everyone here. So, whether it's in the boardroom or during a strategy discussion or even over a coffee, AI has somehow found its way to our conversation. But here is the interesting part. Are we really transforming with AI or simply adopting it? And that's exactly the conversation we are here to explore this evening, which is AI adoption versus AI transformation. Where are we really? And it's a question every enterprise is trying to answer. How do we move beyond pilots and proof of concepts? How do we scale up AI responsibly while balancing governance, security, and business impacts? And perhaps most importantly, how do we know we are creating real transformation and not just adopting a new technology? Well, to set the stage, it's my pleasure to welcome our keynote speaker to share his perspective, a leader who has 25 years of experience in building developer communities and driving technologies enablement. Our keynote speaker began his journey from Sun Microsystems and PEA Systems, and for the past 15 years at Salesforce, has been leading trailblazer engagement, shaping some of the most iconic experiences like Trailhead DX and Dreamforce. Today, he'll share why and, more importantly, how practitioners need to evolve, upskill, and adapt to thrive in this AI era, and what it truly takes to move from AI adoption to a meaningful AI transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Kavindra Patel.
Is that the energy I get? How's everyone doing? Biggs. You guys all had a long day, it looks like, from work, and you're still here. Well, I hope to make it worthwhile tonight for you, and hopefully your minds are open to just what's going on and just a different way of thinking. Couple of days ago, I was asked by Manish, hey, you're in Hyderabad. Actually, I live in the US. I came to India because there was a partner dreaming event or community event in Jaipur. 600 people packed. Everyone's hungry for agentics and wanted direction. And so I was able to give a keynote there and share my thoughts, and then came to Hyderabad, and next thing I know, I'm here. So, but anyways, all right. Yeah, the clicker is working. Okay. So we are probably the last generation to only work with humans. Arundhati Bhattacharya, CEO of Salesforce Asia, made that comment and that statement, not in Silicon Valley, but here in India. I've been in the industry for over 30 years. And I watched the internet arrive, the cloud, the platform, mobile. Every time people said that it would change everything. And this time, it's very different. Do you think it's different this time? At least the ones been around for a while? It is very different. Not because what AI can do, but here's the point. Because of how few people are actually changing how they work in the agentic era. That is the blocker. And one of the things that is going to require is a mindset shift, not only for the practitioners, but also for the leaders. Again, I work out of San Francisco. I'm at the San Francisco Salesforce headquarters. I'm part of the Trailblazer relations team. We focus on providing technical enablement to practitioners globally. And we do that through online and offline mechanisms. And so I get the opportunity to travel the world and listen to a lot of leaders as well as practitioners on what their pain points are. So I was thinking about in the last 2 days, what is one question I should ask? And here's it is. Are you adopting AI or actually transforming with it? Because those are two very different things. Let me make it simple. Adoption is about buying a tool, running a pilot, showing a dashboard at your board meeting. That's the easy part. Everyone's doing it. This transformation asks a harder question. Not what can AI automation do, but what would I even design this process the same way if I were starting today from a blank slate? The second question is not answered by your IT team. It's answered by you. And here's a proof that most haven't asked this question. Based on what Deloitte's research, Deloitte found that 80% of organizations have not redesigned work around AI, even as they deploy it. Companies have bolted on a faster tool, faster tool, onto a broken process. And they wonder why ROI isn't there. So I said, I travel constantly, Asia, Europe, Latin America. Just since February, I think I've traveled to about a dozen countries through our world tour events that are happening globally. And I get a chance to really listen to our trailblazers who are practitioners, developer, admins, architects. And I really also get a chance to meet with a lot of IT leaders. And it really helps. And it's something that I would encourage for you to do as well. It really gave me a good perspective of where we are. And the one thing is that I keep having the same conversation with these people. And what I hear is they're stuck. Not because the technology because of technology doesn't work, but because of three things I hear every time I go there. Number one, fear of obsolescence. They're not sure whether they should lean in or protect their ground. Number two, unclear guidance. There's no playbooks, these AI playbooks. There's no framework, no best practices, no peer examples, no governance patterns. And the third thing is, there's no room to experiment. Organizations that punish failure at the pilot stage kill AI transformation before even it starts. At Salesforce, we have a technical community of 21 million trailblazers globally. And out of that, 3.5 million are here in India itself. Based on all the listening we did, we quickly realized that it was critical to shift their minds to agentics. And I said quickly, because this thing is moving fast and you can't even close your eyes, and that's fast, how fast it's moving. And what we did is we started to enable them very fast with the help of our agent blazers. Those are Salesforce employees who have already gone through certification, as well as trailblazers in the community. These are volunteer customers, partners, technical audiences from that also have achieved that and are able to, together as an army, help enable the rest. Here's what every leader should hear. The answer is already in your organization. You have people who have cracked this the hard way already. Give them the mandate and the platform to turn what they know into something that the whole organization can benefit. This is how you scale transformation without scaling much headcount. So the agentic era doesn't just change what your teams do. It redefines leadership itself. Agents do the execution now, so the premium human resources can shift to 4 things AI cannot replicate. Number 1, judgment. Knowing which outcomes to pursue, not how to get there. Number 2, context. The human and ethical dimensions a model misses. Number 3, trust. The culture where humans and agents work together. And accountability. Agents don't hold themselves accountable. You do. And here are 3 things I see leaders getting it right. They make AI a CEO agenda item, not a CTO project. They create psychological safety so their people can be honest about what AI means to their roles. And the third thing is they set a personal example. They are leaders who actually have built or are going to build and use agents. At Salesforce, whether it's Mark Benioff, or whether it's Arundhati Bhattacharya, or whether it's just another employee at Salesforce, all of us basically have gone through a program where we have basically built simple agents. Simple to complex agent, depends on how it is. But bottom line is we wanted to make sure that we're eating our own dog food. So Mark Benioff put it this way: the choices we make now will determine whether we turn this moment of possibility into one that expands opportunity and unlocks human potential. That's a leadership statement, not a technology one. So I'll leave you with 3 questions, not rhetorical. Ponder over them. Number 1, is AI on your P&L tied to growth, or is it still a pilot budget? Number 2, who are your agentic superstars? And have you given them the platform to scale what they know? Number 3, have you created a safe space in your organization to experiment and fail fast? And I'm not going to ask you whether you are using AI. Everyone is. That's adoption. The real question, the one the panels tonight will take further, is this: has AI changed how you think, not just what your teams do? With that, thank you for your time and all the best in the panels.
And to introduce our distinguished panelists, it's my pleasure to invite our moderator for the evening, Mr. Manish Saruri. He's the engineering director at Forsys and has been a former Salesforce professional, well known for Salesforce MVP Hall of Fame, Salesforce marketing champion, and a former professional of Salesforce, continues to be a respected leader of Salesforce community. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Manish Saruri.
Let me call upon all the panelists. So first one, we have Krishnakant. Krishnakant is VP of and Head of Engineering at Tata Vayu, Tata Communications, where he leads the India's first purpose-built hyperscaler. Welcome. Next, we have Jyotsna. With close to 3 decades of experience, Jyotsna has led the global engineering organizations, and she has expertise in scaling the global capability centers. Please welcome Jyotsna. The next one is Sujit Kanuganti. He's the co-founder and head of GTM and Personal AI. Personal AI is a San Diego-based company pioneering agentic AI. Please welcome Sujit. I think that's a great panel. We have from three different industries leading in different AI technologies. So I will take a seat as well and get this started. I think I'll leave the question open to all three of you. So when you look at enterprises today, the ones that you're currently working with or in your own organization, do you see them still adopting AI or they're really transforming with AI? And if you can tell what's the actual difference between adoption and being a transformed organization?
Yeah, I can go first.
Yeah.
I think there's a famous song that all CIOs or CTOs sing today. It's called AI ROI, AI ROI. So no matter how many roundtable conferences I conduct to also meeting and understanding use cases, I think I see a clear distinction between two patterns that's happening in the market. So there are enterprises, and within that you have pure product-led tech companies, and they are definitely cruising in the adoption of AI. For example, like before this company, where I'm currently heading the product engineering for cloud for Tata Communications, I was in Freshworks, and there we actually started leveraging AI from way back in 2022, before the GPT era started. And the change that happened was we started from putting it out as an underlying product capability to today calling out specific numbers, saying this year we need to attract X million dollars for all the investment that we're putting. That's the shift, tactical shift. And two, within that, products are also looking at how can they build AI natively there as a board. So that's one segment where definitely we are seeing momentum catching. Then there's second place, which is our typical enterprises. I am talking more from the Indian landscape because that's where I am right now looking into the customer base. So you have manufacturing, you have healthcare, you have pharma, then you also have fintech, and finally I also deal with government and PSU sector. So board and CEOs are very clear. They want to invest and they have a specific budget called out for the needs. Now the pressure is on CIO and CTO. How can they convert these dollars into outcomes?
Yep.
The challenge is two ways. One, skill gaps where they don't have inherent teams which actually can understand this game and then build it.
Yep.
And two, even if they want to, they have the domain with data being fabricated in different segments, but they don't have the people who can implement it. So right now, that's where POCs they're able to happily do it. But the moment when they want to bring it to production, that's when the observability, the inference, the cost, scale, that's where they need a platform basically which can abstract out all this and bring it to the next step. So I think that's where they came in. So if you ask me percentage of about it, I think it's a 30-70%, where 70% is in the POC and then 30% is where I can see enterprise is actually gearing up.
Okay, nice.
So I want to go a little more fundamental. What is AI transformation? Right?
Yeah.
So for me, AI transformation is without the AI, can the business run? If the business can run, I don't think we have done anything on AI at all. It's just adoption phase.
Yep.
If who is accountable again, right? When something goes wrong, if AI is going wrong, who is accountable? Have we identified those kind of people? I think for me, fundamentally, that is what is AI transformation. So, when before PGR days, if you remember, we used to take whenever we used to go to the airport, the first thing we used to do was take a printout, and then that guy will verify with your ID card whether you're the right person or not. Now imagine the experience transformation that we're talking about with PGR, like your face is your card, your ID. You just walk through, you sail through. I mean, people like us, we understand what the transformation is, but if you ask my 18-year-old son, for him, that is the norm. I mean, just your face is your ID kind of a thing, right? I think when it comes to a normalization stage, that is when you can call it as an AI transformation. For me, one aspirational story I'll tell you. Like, I'm sure some of our parents or grandparents might have been at the hospital. They must have been one such case where they had got hospitalized also and they were inpatients. Now, once that is done, you go and submit the entire set of bills to the insurance. And the insurance guy will say, this is not covered, not covered, not covered, not covered, and finally you understand that only 1% is covered, 99% you're paying out of your pocket. But had you known this when they were hospitalized and when the doctor is recommending, I need to get A, B, C, D done, are you okay with that? Now it is my informed decision whether I want to do it or not. And if I have taken that decision knowing that this is not covered in my health insurance and I still do it, I am responsible for it. But today we are being caught unawares. So when I talk about transformations, the experience of the AI transformations that I'm talking about, can we reimagine the way we are doing business? Not automating it. The initial one that I told you where you showed an SMS versus a printout is automation for me. But are we able to do it? Can you reimagine that entire flow? I don't think no organization is kind of doing it. At least Anthropic, all of these so-called $1 trillion aspiring organizations. But in a traditional sense, I don't think anyone is there. They are on the path of that AI transformation, but I don't think anyone is there. It's AI adoption, as you said. I think 70-80%. Every other user is trying to using it. That's my opinion.
Interesting. Let's take a quick check because Josna says not all the organizations are in the transformation phase. Just show quick hands if your organization has already passed the adoption and in the AI transformation phase. Like, can you show quick hands? I think 3, 4, 5. I think the rest we still need to catch up. I think. So Sujit, you can also put your point of view.
But within this segment of like which sector they belong to, do you have a gist of that? I think we can curate our answers also according to that. That helps.
Okay, I think we have. What we know is all the leaders are doing AI transformation or adoption at their organizations.
Did I put you on the spot? Sorry.
So I'm looking for my marketing team, like who are part of these. But what we have made sure that it's an invite only still, but we made sure that everyone in this room has some part of involvement with AI, not just from a personal point of view, but from an organization point of view. They are leading the transformations in AI. That's what I can assure you. But in terms of industries, I think we'll leave it to the networking session to discuss and see where are we on the transformation phase. Sujit, yeah.
Cool, thanks Manish. If you ask me, right, I have seen both worlds within the same organization, like at a middle management level and probably at a delivery level or implementation level, I see more of an adoption. But I think it's at a executive level or a C level where the leaders, the thought leaders are coming up with transformation strategies, right? And as I think Josna was saying, it needs some responsibility, some guardrails, some security. I've seen even companies creating new positions in terms of like having a chief AI security officer or chief protection officer kind of roles coming up these days. And transformation, yes, I did work with quite a bit of enterprises from personal AI standpoint, and all the transformation initiatives are coming from leadership level. Anything that's below leadership, it's more of an adoption. It is across the domains. That's my observation.
Actually, that is also very evident now. If you see, when AI adoption came, when the boom came, all services companies, for example, got hammered at the start.
Yep.
But if you look now, there is this new fad called forward deployed units. It essentially is service companies having AI expertise and reaching out to customers, understanding the domain, getting it implemented. I think this is a natural transformation of how cloud has happened to what AI is now doing. It's just I think the analogy is still the same.
Yep.
So people are understanding this is the gap and how they want to take it forward.
Yeah, so I'm also an FD practitioner at Forsys. Yeah, so I also submit topics to talk about these topics in the community, and the first topic they selected is FD. So even entering Force, I'll be talking about FD as well. So I think that's the hot topic now. I think great insights on how the transformations are happening. Probably for Josna, inside just on the topic of governance that you raised. So in a large enterprise organization like yours, like how do you balance the pressure of moving fast with AI versus, but you still need to have some governance in place, so that how do you balance that between going fast as well as governing, making sure AI is governed?
See, I come from highly regulated organizations, right? And it is highly regulated because you're paying either with patients' lives, or you're playing with people's money. And that is one of the reasons there are a lot of regular checks and everything. This is for our own benefit. And governance is also in a way similar, right? Governance should not be seen as something that is slowing you down. When it is intentional by fabric, I think it is going to give you a lot more leeway to run and take things forward. The way I look at governance is it has to be built into the fabric, as I said. Like for example, I'll tell you something. When we started up this AI adoption and a lot of co-pilots and everything were coming in, for one of the ideas, they were like at least 2,000 entries or intake forms that we received for all kinds of AI ideas. Then we started asking the questions, right? What is AI really taking the decision? Is it an automation or is it an AI decision kind of thing? Is AI taking decisions, and what decisions is it taking? And what happens if the decision is wrong, right? The cost of something going wrong. As I said, you're paying with patience and the money part of it. Once you started asking these questions, which is nothing but governance, right? Governance, you talk about data governance and a lot of those things, but fundamentally from a business angle, when you ask these 2-3 basic questions, what we have seen is there were only 10 ideas that were left on the table. The 1990 ideas that were, again, that's a round of number that I'm talking about, went off because they didn't have answers. These were all aspirational ideas that, I will go and change the world. Today, a lot of people talk about an AI command center. What does a command center mean? No one has an answer. They just write that particular word. Like, on a lighter note, now business analysts are no longer called business analysts. They're called as context engineers because they give you the context. So, like when you take away the top layer and you actually get into the business language and you actually see what is the impact it would have and the negative impact, the cost of doing and cost of not doing something, that will give you the actual value, and that's where governance is going to help us in that journey.
Okay, nice. Any comments?
Yeah, one comment, I think it should be governance first approach rather than a functional or use case first approach. I think that's very much important, because even when we build the platform, when we try to onboard the use cases, the first thing what we got from one of the major telecoms in US is like, okay, let's look out for the various governance, various guardrails, various protections that are part of the platform. If no, then let's start doing them. Then we'll talk about the functional use cases. So without that, I think we'll play very well. Even like as simple as one of the news article where it said a customer support AI agent was writing code, right? So that was a simple leak that happened. So imagine if it's in the regulated industry, it's a big problem.
True. So this one to Krishnakant. So you talked about how different industries are going through this transformation, but from an infrastructure point of view, because you're with Tata OIU, so from an infrastructure point of view, how do you define that whether this organization has gone from adoption to a transformation phase?
Before I answer that, let me actually tell you a very interesting paradigm that I'm seeing in India. How many of you have heard of this app called Salabeni?
Salaban.
No, right? But how many of you have heard of this company called Amul? For sure, everybody.
Yep.
So one day we got a call from Nandan Nilekani, right? He comes and says he was in a chat with PM Modi, and Modi said, hey, I think it's being adopted everywhere. How can you bring in life to Amul or for farmers rather? By trying to cater to understanding what the cows are actually going through. So that was on Jan 8th. I give it Jan 28th, sorry, after Republic Day. He had this meeting. So, and Nandan Nilekani was doing the digital transformation of the entire this initiative. So he partnered with us via Meet. Meet is in Ministry of Industry and IT Technology. We were providing the infrastructure for GPIS service. We started with H200s, H100s, then slowly we pivoted to L4s, L40s, right? In a span of record break of 21 days, they started with model training to model inferencing using the GPU as a fleet. I was astonished looking at the maturity and the questions they came with. So I've seen customers. The point is, I think the results were very evident. Now the farmers can understand whether a cow is pregnant, whether it is actually healthy, whether it has any ailment, when should it have all the periodic checks. All this is done through AI because Amul had the inherent data. So if I have to draw that example and answer you, I have seen customers who have great quality of data insights and who come and ask me for a platform and say that, hey, I would like to see a platform where I can actually do model training, model inferencing, I should have auto scaling capabilities. I think that's the customer who is way matured in this game. And the same time, contrastingly, I have seen, I can't name the customers who come for POCs. They try to understand this game of AI by actually doing free POCs with us. So I see a stark difference between these two. I think for all these clients who aren't actually adopting AI to the ernst of what it should be, I think this FD, what you are doing, is the answer, I feel. So right now we are partnering with a couple of SIs, service integrators, who can actually go and talk to them and bring them to speed. I think this is the technological shift that we're seeing, where few players are actually going really fast who can understand this game really well.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting example. It's not easy for all organizations to go through the transformation. I think it will take a lot of time for all the organizations to catch up as well. I think on a similar note, so Sujit, I think your company also started with AI as a base, because personal AI. I think then, so how do you see enterprises who are now trying to put AI into their existing business process versus the ones who have already started from base with AI as the base?
Yeah, I think you have a process, right? You have a standard operating process, and now you're trying to bring in something which kind of disrupts your existing SOP. All you got to do is bring in new SOPs, like you are adopting, you're trying to transform. Okay, you did POCs, you did adoption, and then you proven, okay, things work. But now if you want to operationalize it and ensure that you have ROI coming in, the process has to change, right? And you define new processes, and you also need to have your workforce, which is not AI workforce, the human workforce, to again support the initiative, support the strategy. And that I have seen only coming in from a leadership team. If initiatives coming from a leadership team, definitely it is happening in the positive direction. But again, if it is not from a leadership standpoint, there are kind of breaks and hurdles which we have faced. We have almost around 10 enterprises which have onboarded, all the transformations happened across multiple business functions, even in IT, on the sales side, even in the operation side. Everything was an initiative as a strategy, and it got rolled out. So that's how I see like adoption is kind of moving from, AI is kind of moving from adoption to transformation.
Okay. I think Kavindra also touched on this point, like how organizations are having, like, let's say, fear as an example to have that as a reason to not adopt AI. For what could be the other reasons? Then is it like the technology? I think technology will definitely support, but what else could be the reasons? Like, is it the culture, the mindset shift, or what else would you think could be the reasons for not companies not adopting AI itself?
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, I think 2 weeks back, I was with in Goa doing economics time CIO conclave, right? So I could see a pattern there. The pattern being, the fear is because they are worried, if I take this investment, how can I be justifiable to my board without showing outcomes? So that's the biggest problem with enterprises that I see. So like I said in the start of the game, right? I'm seeing 3 patterns typically where I'm seeing success and where I'm seeing failures. ROI is your return on investment. Then there is ROE, which is return on your employee. Then there is ROF, return on future. So if you can smartly identify, like my fellow panelists mentioned, if you can smartly identify your use cases where it is directly tangible to your dollar business outcome. For example, Freshworks example I talked about, or Cisco example, one of my friends actually knows about it. So where we know that, for example, customer experience, chatbots, etc. Those are clear-cut deliverable outcomes we are seeing. So that comes in the ROI segment. Then there is ROE, which is written on your employee, where code, for example, coding. I think all software engineers for sure have seen this. The productivity has definitely improved by at least 30%. So that's another segment, I think, which is an easy to hatch on, that ROE. But again, you have many companies like ServiceNow, Freshservice, which are also going deep into employee experience enablement by looking into different knowledge bases and then putting out as an AI agent. That's another area where, if I have identified such use cases, then your ROE use case can also be really, really working well. Unfortunately, what's happening is the fear is because of ROF, return on future. It's like a VC playing a game with 10 startups. Typically, the CIOs try to bring in 10 new ideas with either one of the 10 can actually be a multi-bagger. The rest could be a failures. But at least if there is no tangible outcome that they're defining, that's where the fear of failure is coming in. But if they can bring in this rigor of outcome driven to all these 10, I think they'll see a success. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I agree with KK. Josna, if I'm not interrupting, but I agree with KK. It's about metrics, what metrics you capture. And it's not, I think primarily productivity is what people look at, but beyond productivity, if you're addressing a business function, right, you kind of measure the core outcome of that business function. If it's a sales agent, how many orders did you really close? If it's a customer support agent, how many customers did you satisfactorily kind of address their issues, right? Those are some of the metrics. Even like we work with Tatacom to kind of onboard personally and Tatacom. So even Tatacom asked us like, okay, show us the metrics, outcome-driven metrics. I think that's where KK is coming from. So without having that outcome-based metrics, stuff to measure, definitely the ROF.
I think, when the businesses are fearing adoption because of the fear of unknown, right? What is going to happen? And also the entire token cost, and also not actually knowing how they're being built and how much it would cost in an AI work or AI project. That is another thing that is kind of stopping a lot of projects. But speaking very tactically at the resource level, right? The tech organization, it is the fear of losing jobs because they feel that their jobs are being replaced by AI. But I think when you look at it, the most of the purse strings are controlled by the business teams, and they are very comfortable where they are. And they don't have a view on what is going to happen in the future. So unless and until they come out of their comfort zone and start adopting, the AI adoption to AI transformation will never happen. It's a business that is a trigger, not the technology teams at all.
I witnessed some new business model evolving, like aggregation of tokens across LLMs, across services. There's one customer which we are working with who wants to do, again, aggregation across all the services and kind of monetize.
I think internally we also check, are we using enough tokens for the month or not? So we have a list that comes out every month.
Now there is a new fad, right? Your CTC also will have tokens.
Oh,
Yeah, so apart from your base salary, etc., now tokens is also part of your CTC. That's a new trend.
These days in one of the meetings, I'm like, my DevOps is coming and saying, I expired my tokens, I need to do this, can you share your tokens?
I think even telecom is moving into token-based phone, which we are exploring, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay. Yeah, I think on the ROE part, I just want to ask, because you are with the GCC, so there's a kind of debate going on, like especially let's say there's one person who's able to do 5%'s job, right? Then what should be done with the remaining 4? So there are two options. Then companies generally cut down the workforce, or should they actually look at giving AI to all of them? So that means now with the same kind of resources, now instead of operating at 5x, now you are with the same resources, same cost, you're operating it at 25x productivity, right? So what should be the right mindset for it? Should they looking at going into the same 5x, cutting down so that you're progressing, or should they be looking at 25x? So which is actually the AI transformation in that case?
Can I take a very unconventional path and ask you which company has removed people because of AI? It is all, in my view, the Microsofts and all of that are their stock manipulation, in my opinion. As I said, I'm giving you a very unpopular opinion over here, because I don't think any company has matured to a level that they could afford to lose people to AI right now. And I don't think it will come in a day very soon, because human in the loop is very, very important. Even if you do the coding, let's look at even the business, let's forget about all the businesses. But if you look at just the AI part of it, the AI development that we are talking about, yes, you can have fewer people with probably more AI doing the AI DLC kind of a thing, but I don't really think that we have reached at least at a stage where we can let go of people because AI is so productive. Very unpopular opinion, but that's a very honest opinion that I carry.
I think it's always like whenever a new technology comes in that the fear kicks in. Like I remember working with Tata Steel where we were trying to do crane automation and the drivers were like pulling out the plugs from the computers that were installed on the crane on the top. Right? It's the fear, right? Okay, my crane is being now operated by a computer, I will lose my job. But no, that's not the case, right? The drivers were always there and ensuring that in fact the computer is driving the crane properly. So I think that fear is kind of blocking some of the transformation and adoption, I would say.
I would say there is no right and wrong answer to this. There is no binary answer because forget about coding. In coding, see, I have seen startups which have widely adopted this because they have great credits coming out from, the acceleration programs. So there they have definitely slowed down their hiring. But on the contrary, I have also seen companies, especially on the customer experience side, they have leveraged AI using the AI agents. Definitely the conversational agents have picked up. But it doesn't mean that the actual human agents who are using this AI, now they have been elevated. They have now become more of an admins. So that's how if you were to really look at an optimistic way, the CEO is right now shifting them to have multiple roles than just sticking to one. So it all depends on, there is no right and wrong answer, as I said. It depends on the P&L of that company.
Yeah, people have to elevate themselves and try to take up the jobs which are more relevant and leave the jobs that an agent can do.
Okay, I think that's a great conversation that we had. I think I'll quickly wrap it up before we hand over some questions from the audience as well. So this is not part of the script, by the way, so it's a quick rapid fire. Just you have to pick one of them. There's no both options or yes. So I think adoption versus transformation, which one will you pick? I think, which one will you pick for your organization? Transformation. Yes. Yeah.
When? That's a I mean, it's not immediate. Transformations are not immediate. I think they are at least 18 to 24 months away at the minimum.
So ours is like a agentic platform, and what we sell is a transformation. So I would definitely pick transformation, and that's what we position to all the telecoms of the world. So yeah, you got my answer.
I think it's always precursor is adoption, then to transformation. So it depends on the maturity of the company again.
Okay. Next is AI first or human first approach should organizations take?
So if you think from product standpoint, I would always say think it as AI first. That's where you will actually redefine your workflows. Unless you think of that strategy, you'll always try to put a cosmetic workflow layer on top of it. Unless you bring in data fabric and try to re-visualize your workflow with AI first capabilities as you bring in, then you will not see a real ROI.
From a regulated organization, human first.
Human first.
Yeah, I think it varies depending on the domain. That's what I wanted to say. Some domains might need, or some verticals might need AI first, and some might need where you have like human touch, empathy, where that needs to be kind of addressed first. Like in hospitals, I think it's more of human first.
Okay. And cloud AI or on-premise AI? Because we see a lot of transformations now into on-premise AI. Which one will you pick?
KK might say cloud. Go ahead, KK.
100%, but we also do hybrid cloud, so I'm fine with that.
I was about to say hybrid.
So hybrid, because for example, for regulated companies, for example, one of the popular national banks, they have the data, they're very clear that they want it on-prem. But for the non-proprietary data, they're fine with doing it on cloud. So yeah, it depends. Hybrid cloud is an answer.
Okay, and last one, FOMO or is it ROI? Organizations thinking that it's a FOMO that they want to get onto AI, or is it they should look at ROI as the factor?
Current situation is FOMO, but ideal is to actually get into the ROI part of it.
Yeah.
I think that should be the common answer across the panel.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thanks a lot. Any questions from the audience that you want to ask the panelists here?
Either we are too boring or the answers are too good. That
We answered everything.
I think we covered it better. I think.
Thank you for the insights. It really helped us. One question from my side. I'm Dipti from the marketing team of Forsys. So I want to understand that what is that defining moment when you say that we are, when AI adoption is becoming AI transformation for any organization? What is the particular defining moment?
I'll go first. There are two different topics. They don't converge anywhere at all. AI adoption is a resource-based conversations that we are talking about, where the human resources of an organization are adopting AI as a way of life. AI transformation is a business transformation. So I don't think AI adoption is the enabler for transformation, but I think they are two different topics altogether in my mind. Probably defer it to both of them to answer it.
You see, I think as long as you, for example, like what she said, a digital Digiyatra part. For example, if you're doing the same repetitive manual ways of activity, which is actually not being productive, and if you find an answer which can make it very simplified aspect, I think that's where you see there's an ROI coming out of it, right? So for each and every problem, if you know there is a repeated predictable workload, I think that's where you need to insert AI with a workflow AI automation. If you bring in that clearly gives you an ROI that becomes your pivotal moment of seeing the Eureka moment.
Yeah, it's more about addressing a specific business function from a transformation standpoint, more of a strategic approach. Adoption, I think everybody is adopting, even like regular people. I met one guy who was a structural engineer who doesn't know what ChatGPT is, suddenly said, okay, what is this? And just it's a simple app, you can try using it. Now he's a heavy user. So he said, I've adopted ChatGPT now. So I think transformation is more strategic, more ROI driven, more futuristic driven. Adoption is happening. It's in the works.
Yeah, I think that sums it up well. Thanks.
Our next conversation is about adoption to transformation. what it actually takes to close the gap, what enterprise needs to build, measure, and change to move from adoption to real transformation. Let's bring up our next panel. To lead us in our next conversation, what it actually takes, I'd like to invite our next moderator for this panel, Mr. Josiala Jagannath Sastry. Sastry is a manager alliance at Forsys, brings over 15 years of experience across different verticals, driving enterprise growth from strategy to execution. Please welcome to the stage, Sastry.
Thank you, Drishti. Transformation in depth, some of the decision making that goes into achieving that AI transformation or otherwise, successful or otherwise, and also what the future might hold, right? So to discuss this, I'd like to invite three leaders who are here today. Join me. First, if I can invite Krishnan. Krishnan is a founder of EZ Guardian. EZ Guardian takes a breadwinner of a family from insured to assured. Right? And prior to founding EZ, he was a director at Salesforce and at Capgemini. Welcome, Krishnan. Next, if I can ask Manoj Muthavarpu to please join me. Manoj is a director of product at Cisco. He's been building and shipping AI for a while now. And we've got an MBA from Keenan Flagler, which is very cool. And he was at United Healthcare prior to that. Please, Manoj, please welcome. Finally, if I can ask Sumesh Balakrishnan to join us. Sumesh is part of the founding team and CFO at Cognita, which is an AI solutions company. Prior to that, he was at Hitachi Vantara and Hitachi Solutions as a senior director managing their finance vertical. Please, Sumesh, welcome. Please have mic. I think the burning question right now in India seems to be, how AI is being used for marriage proposals, right? Somebody came to me the other day and said, Shastri, I'm not able to find a match for my son. Should I use this Claude thing? I said, Uncle, I am not able to find anybody for myself. So he said, how old are you? I said, I'm 40. He said, you need to use Claude more than I do. So I think AI has, as the earlier panel also was saying, AI is everywhere. In every aspect of life, it has permeated. Right? So it kind of is a segue into what I wanted to discuss, the first topic. Today, any company's marketing material, we see everywhere, there's an overload of the word AI, I see it everywhere. Right? But when we cut through that noise, what does real transformation actually look like? Right? So if I can start with you, Manoj, right? You've been shipping AI and bringing that into the customer service segment at Cisco, right? If there's one or two examples of workflows that you can take and talk to us about which are genuinely AI transformed, what does it look like? What is the impact? What has it replaced?
Sure. It's always tough to go after a panel where Krishnakant is talking. So everyone tone your expectations accordingly. Look, what KK mentioned earlier about the chatbots or contact center industry, right? If any of you have ever visited a contact center, the place where customer service gets delivered from, it's a very high pressure, high demand, low supply type of a setup. There's always more calls, more incoming, problems from customers than the available skilled agents to answer your question. Now, if you think of all the TAMs, right, or the target markets that AI is disrupting, of course, coding is number one. Guess what is the second one? It's really customer service. It's probably the second largest TAM out there, because this kind of a setup where demand is almost always greater than supply is a great candidate for AI to go and do something about it. Now, I started my product management career almost 10 years ago. We used to build these chatbots, the kind that you will now find on Zomatos and Amazons, where you just have to tap buttons. You get so annoyed because you want to say something, but you don't find any of those options, and you struggle to get to the option that will get you to the customer. Now, back then, that was the only technology, pre-LLMs. You had some ways of understanding keywords, connecting that with like maybe the 25 options that the developer would have thought of. And then you just tap it and you hope it works. In the voice domain, when you actually make a call, it's even worse. You only have two options, right? Either a very large IVR tree where you say press 1 for something, press 2 for something else. The best memory that it can have is your language preference, and that's it. The next time you call, you still have to like remember all the traversal that you have to do. And the one sort of evolution of that is what were called as these voice bots, where yes, they can understand a little bit of your keywords and they sort of connect you to the right system. Now, after LLMs, imagine this Venn diagram of 3 circles roughly happening at the same time, which was very fantastic, and it was all AI-led. Different domains, some of it is text, some of it is audio. First, the recognition engines themselves became very, very good, which means the system was able to understand what you're saying with fewer errors. Second, the voices stopped sounding robotic. They are expressive. They can talk like us. This is when companies like 11 Labs, etc., became really popular, raised a lot of money. But the last one, the most important one, is your LLM is very robust for transcription errors. If you say, I want to pay my bill, even though it gets transcribed as I want to play my beat or whatever, it kind of understands based on the surrounding context that what you're trying to say. So the robustness of the LLM and all the other 2 circles converging just gave rise to this whole AI-driven chatbot, or we now call them AI agents, but essentially the AI voice agents, really came up. So from the customer's perspective, that was the biggest unlock. So we no longer now have to convince the customer of the need. The conversations are almost always about, yes, we know you can do a great job on the conversation side. What system should I open up? What workflows should I actually decide to, try in a low risk fashion, by connecting it with those autonomous agents and all of that. So that is like very profound to watch from pre and post the phase.
Makes a lot of sense. I think for a lot of us as end customers or consumers, that journey, I think we can see where when you say something, it doesn't understand, the system doesn't understand, people get frustrated, to now, as you said, based on the context, even if it misreads something, it is able to decipher and understand what the customer wants. And I think that's a good, very good example of what transformation looks like. Quick follow-up, if I can. So you mentioned, apart from coding right now, customer service as the next best plan, right? Where do you see this rest of this transformation from your vantage point in terms of other verticals in an organization? Where do you think this will really go?
Look, the primitive of this entire customer service or self-service wave is being able to conversationally express your intent. That's it. Everything else, a web application that you would have built is just a collection of intents. You want to come there, do a set of steps to achieve something. Now, but you can do that in 5 clicks, or you can say it, or you can maybe like type it out. So the modality in which you express an intent, especially when interacting with a business, completely just becomes voice first. Now, it is also natural, intuitive. There's a reason we are talking about this and not like sending each other missives or apps or whatever. It's very natural. I remember this really profound quote. Humanity's first interface was voice.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like the way we interact with each other is really that, right? So whether it is through crude words or with flowery language, it's really that. So that is the first one which is naturally getting broken. So your software interfaces will definitely change for sure.
Thank you. Krishnan, if I can come to you, I think one of the very cool features of what you're building is, it surfaces, it brings out finance or insurance information that family members didn't know they had. Yeah. Is that AI transformation, being able to do something that you couldn't do before? I mean, as we heard, or is it doing something faster? Is just AI doing something faster? The earlier panel also spoke a little bit about it.
So before even I jump the gun, first of all,
many people are not aware of what Guardian is. You have seen the demo, so you may straight ask that question. So basically, Guardian is something that we built for breadwinners. So any unfortunate event that happens to a breadwinner at home, today the biggest gap with digitization and the pace at which it is going, and also the ease of implementing or investing into different portfolios, it is like very widespread. And suddenly something unfortunate happens to a breadwinner, the family has no clue about what was earned by him, where did he invest or where did she invest, and how that can be retrieved for the family. That's the biggest gap that is there in today's world. And if you look at the statistics published by the Finance Ministry, the numbers are in lakhs of crores. So recent numbers say 3.5 lakh crores are unclaimed across EPFO, mutual funds, insurance, etc. So what we started this was mainly around COVID time, like when we see some very close encounters that, okay, somebody died, the family has no clue. We started this company to solve this problem, but AI actually started helping us as a tailwind. So in 2020 to 23, when AI was really in the very initial stages, we thought maybe we can leverage something for content creation, awareness of these things to the users. But slowly, at some point, we felt, no, this should help the users do more with less amount of effort. So that's where around 2024 and or early 2025, we started building very few features where Guardian comes with a feature like very similar to your DigiLocker, right? So you dump all your data documents into Doc AI. It will go through all these documents, segregate them into your portfolio items like, okay, this is your physical asset, a record is created, a document is attached. This is your insurance policy, this is your transport portfolio, your RC book, your pollution certificate, and everything is segregated into your transport portfolio. So that is the first feature we implemented. The one that you are referring now about bringing certain insurances that are not known to the world, now bringing it to life. It is about lot of us, all of us, in fact, use debit cards, credit cards. We own some salary accounts. So all these things come with a lot of complementary coverages, which not many of us are aware of, or we don't pay much attention to. What AI, the feature that we built into the platform, if you tell it, okay, I have an SBI debit card, which is Visa signature card, it will go through the websites of those corresponding banks or the cards. It will fetch you the information in terms of, okay, this is your coverage, and these are certain conditions that are to be met. For example, SBI says you need to use your debit card every 90 days at an ATM or a point of sale, which the customers are not aware. So if you don't keep that information to the customer, then there is no way they can keep those coverages alive. So what we do is we bring those details to the customer and then make sure that those coverages are alive. So this is definitely a transformation, but I do not say, are we fully transformed? No. I would say this is at a level 1 transformation, but we are envisioning a lot, right from bringing all the necessary support to the family, creating automated claim documents. Even at some point, we are envisioning if some death happens, the family should get an immediate credit within few hours of notification that, okay, this 2 lakhs are credited into the account of the primary dependent. And we settle that at the time of full and final claims process. That way, at least, at the time of grief, they should not look for funds. So that's what we are envisioning, but that I would call like a level 4 transformation. But I would say today we are at level 1 transformation.
This is at the moment, mining is faster for you. You're able to do it because of AI, right? It's saving you time. Absolutely. Thank you. Umesh, I think from a finance perspective, we put on a different hat. You've been with Cognita for a few years now, and you said the company is AI transformed, right? When a company is truly AI transformed, where does it actually show up from a finance perspective in terms of the numbers?
Thank you, Shastri, and good evening, everyone. Absolute pleasure to be here. And generally, I attend most of the finance sessions or chambers of commerce. So this was very new when Manish extended the invitation, and I realize now that what I'm learning here from hearing the previous panel and here, right? So to begin with, I'm the first employee of Cognita. This is something that we all started when we were together at Hitachi. I was a CFO for Hitachi Consulting in APAC, and before that 20 years doing all the tax compliance, accounting, budgets, things like that. And during pandemic, we saw that there was a market opportunity for a lot of this uncertainty, the problems around how much to produce, what inventory to manage, what kind of, and people were all talking about digital transformation, like what people are talking about AI transformation today, right? That led to the birth of Cognita in 2021. Today, we are about 326 people with an office in Hyderabad and 3 offices in US, pretty much doing all the use cases that has been discussed so far, except the Guardian, which was very interesting. So coming to your point, I think I've seen the entire emergence of AI because we started as an insights data analytics company wherein our clients used to use our solutions on a platform called Zuno Predict. We started where the Tableaus and the BIs of the world stopped because we did the future predicting. And this was more about using customer data, building insights into customer data using very fancy dashboards. And what it could also do is we used to use a lot of algorithms for lack of technical using lack of technical words that it was basically clustering time series graph and based on that predict the randomness of the data. So you give me last 24 months data, I can tell you, okay, how much would your sales will grow, what could be customer churn out, how much would be the turnover of the inventory management and all. And because we all came from Hitachi, we had access to a lot of great clients to start with. 2022, OpenAI came and the generative AI came as a complete wave and we wrote the tailwinds. And after that, we created our own so-called chatbots, which is on an agentic platform because we started with the RAG solutions. A lot of people spoke about the structured, unstructured data part of it. That's something that we started very early because we had a platform. So it was very easy for us to build accelerators on top of it. Then we had our own product. So today, the reason why I call Cognita as an AI solutions company is because we have product, we have platform, we have services. And the reason why we believe that would take us to the next wave of the AI transformation is because you can't sell a product today alone because you won't give your source code to the clients. You can't give your platform to the clients because the data sets keeps on changing. And you can't be only a services company because, again, you all heard about what IBM went through after just a single word of faltering led to their stock results, right? So because today services companies have been beaten to push because everybody thinks that a cloud will come and all the SaaS companies will vanish. I don't believe in that. From a finance lens, again, since I'm closely involved from day one itself, I think it's very interesting. KK said that, saying that the ROI and the ROF, right? So for us, it was the other way around. Wherever we went and pitched our product, we were saying that, okay, tell us what will you do in future? And we have all the clients in US. We don't have a single client in India for various reasons, because the kind of output we have, the kind of products we deliver, and the kind of data we need. I think people have not spoken about the data, but quality of data is the basic premise for any AI to work. It's not a magic sauce, right? So you need to have the quality of data, which is labeled, structured, unstructured. That data can work, but your output will also start hallucinating a lot. So when we started, it was more about trying to tell the clients about in next 12, 24, 36 months, this is the impact it's going to make to the gross margin. This is the way it will do it faster for you. This is how you can manage your inventory levels much more faster. You can produce more. It will take less efforts to do a particular job. And that's where the so-called future-proofing helped in us going and telling a lot of our clients, saying that if you use any of the agentic applications that we are building and using your data hosted in your environment, in the cloud itself, you can actually save this person. It is all outcome-based selling. And this was something at time, because I come from the IT industry for 25 years now. Outcome-based selling is not something that is new. Like FD is not a new concept. It was called as a two-in-a-box. Those who have come from Cognizant, they know that. Cognizant started this two-in-a-box, delivery and sales. So we used to call it as a two-in-a-box. FD, Palantir started badging it differently because they got a nice CEO speaks well. So they became an FD model for them. It's as simple as that. Even for us, it's AI is today an outcome-based model. If you are able to go and tell your clients today, saying that, okay, this is the cost of doing this particular project, I'll take 10% of the saving that this will do for you. I bet even clients in India will be ready for it. The only problem is when we start pitching for, the clients expect that, okay, there will be a POC, which will be free. And from POC, I'll go to my board. I think the previous man also spoke about that I'm doing transformation. If you're a listed company, I'm so sorry, that works well because you're going to tell to the street saying that, okay, we are doing transformation. 8% of my total R&D cost is for transformation. Your stock price goes up. But you can't do that story every year. You can't build a narrative every quarter. You have to show results. So coming to the point on finance, I think it starts with the gross margin, whichever industry you are. I think it has to show tangible gains for you. And that's how AI companies would be selling, whether it is on the product or whether it is on the services or the solutions part of it. How are you going to impact the bottom line? How are you going to impact the top line? Top line means it's all customer experience. DigiYatra was a great example. I think the way when as somebody as Indian, when I go to US airports, I said, what are you making us to do? Imagine what we go through in India. We scan our phone, we make the payment. We scan our phone, we're getting access to airports. What are you guys, primitive technology? So that's experience part of it. So if it impacts your top line, if it impacts your bottom line in a positive way, you're able to do things faster. I think I read about Forsys, what it's doing in terms of a lot of the productivity gains on the sales conversion cycles and all. Then you can say that, yes, you're transforming. It's not about the business getting habit of using AI. And AI is not something that you make the investment on Monday and on Friday you can see an output. It's not going to happen. It will take time. But if you make the investment in 2025 until 2026 and you're not getting an investment, then it's a sunk cost fallacy. You're either with the wrong product, you're either with the wrong solution provider, or you're trying to transform something which was working very well without the transformation.
I think the timelines are also very critical in these cases. You mentioned Forsys, we are also undergoing transformation. So it's an everyday discussion for us also. I want to touch upon one particular point you mentioned when you said, the future outcomes. Back when you started to today, in terms of accuracy, because of betterment of AI, have you seen, what kind of a change have you seen in the accuracy? I didn't mean to put you on the spot. If you have,
No, absolutely. I think efficacy, we call it as efficacy. And whether it is vaccines or whether it is AI, right? So it needs to go through its own trial and error, right? So when we started, we had all kind of value. The reason why I said we only have clients in US is because when we used to go to, especially in my network, finance folks, CFOs and all, data, I said, yeah, we've got tons of data. And all you used to get is Excel files. Guys, Excel files is not data. When we look at data today, it's data in what you have in Cloudera and in Salesforce, that the CRM's data, which is lightly structured and labeled and all, which my model can get trained. Because if you put Excel files straight, my model will also give you all kind of hallucinated results, right? So I think the first challenge for us in order to get to the super efficacy or the accuracy part was, initially we have started in clients wherein the accuracy was less than 40% because the data was not properly labeled, the tool could not read some of those, and we started at 21 itself. So we didn't wait for Sam Altman to come in and help us in that process. But gradually what happened is with all these LLMs also have matured today. And there will be a day, the way we look at it is that LLM will become a commodity. The switching cost will be so low that you go from Claude in morning and you go to Gemini in the evening, it will not cost you much. But the quality of data and the solutions that we build on top of this will come in. So to your point, I think we matured through the process. We sat through, that's what the FD model helped us a lot because we didn't have subject matter experts in manufacturing, tech, or BFSI. Slowly we understood that the quality of data is very good in BFSI. That's why we work with a lot of the banks and insurance companies in the US. We work with manufacturing companies, but they don't have too much of budgets. They are capex constrained. So the quality of data is today close to 90% when it comes to BFSI for our models, Zuno, Predict, Assist, and Flow. It is about 75 to 80% on manufacturing, and somebody touched about the human in the loop part of it. So that is what one of our product does it for a lot of law firms. We are not Harvey.ai, if you guys have heard about it, but what it does is for a lot of CFOs and lawyers, it reads entire contracts across MSAs, SOWs, POs and all. And I tell him what fields it needs to pick up. That is 100%. But then I still have somebody, whether it's a value of being $1 million plus, to just check. Because we are not myself very confident saying that, okay, it has passed through all the gates of checks that it needs to be. So different products, different industry has got different accuracy. But it's all about 70%, 80%, and the product is 100% because it has been trained on tons and tons of legal contracts in the US, so it understands. It is SOC legal certified, so it understands the nuances out there, and it can actually layer out different parameters which I've asked it to do that.
It's 70-80%. I think is very, very healthy, and I think it will get higher as
it gets higher. It gets higher. I think again, large automobile company was about to say that we are doing the entire inventory planning for them using the last 20 years of data. So if somebody can give us 20 years of data, I'll be 101% on day one itself.
Very healthy data set. You have so much history there to build off of. Thank you. Very insightful. So I think we've seen different stages of transformation. Wanted to understand a little bit more about the decision making that goes into achieving transformation, or maybe not so much as you set out at the beginning, right? So if I can start with you, being a startup, you make decisions fast, especially now in this AI era, right? And you handle a lot of sensitive data that belongs to people. Is there any AI capability that gave you some pause at one point of time, or any capability that got you excited enough to make a quick decision and that's actually given you some of the ROI that we are talking about? If you can expand on that.
So again, like you said, we deal with a lot of sensitive data like insurance policies and other fintech information of individuals. So the biggest thing we always are, in fact, the thing that we will be very, very careful about is the regulatory requirements. The first thing that we did is we got one advisory board member into our organization who was the chief legal officer for some of the fintech companies like HSBC and all. So first thing we looked at is, so tell us what is the regulatory requirement. Then we map that with the AI capabilities, the requirements of the guardrails that we need to set. For example, the data should not leave India. Your AI cannot deal with some of the data, and how do you erase the context of your AI after it processes some data? How do you deal with the copies of data that is in the non or less secure location? How long you maintain them there before you move them into a secure vault? These are some of the guardrails and regulatory requirements someone need to be very, very cautious about. But at the same time, since we are a startup, these decisions we can take pretty fast. Like once you know AI can do these things, this is the requirement, this is the regulatory around it, and these are the capabilities. The mapping is pretty fast, and we take decisions fast. That is what we do. But I can understand in bigger organizations, again, this has to go through the legal, various levels of approvals and all. But we are fortunately small, so the decisions happen faster.
I know it's fighting when you say a bigger organization with so many things to do.
What are you saying? We decide tonight and start to watch it?
No. Quick question on what you said. I mean, in terms of looking at that regulatory guardrails, is that still human-led today, or is that also, are you leveraging AI for that?
No. So some of these areas you cannot take risk, because if you are non-compliant, the penalties will run into very heavy amounts, and also trust is is broken, right? So we ensure that whatever they say, there is a human layer that validates. Especially that's the reason we have a regulatory expert in place. Also, we double check with the organizations, like for example, Gemini, we use the Vertex edition, right? So we double check with Gemini sales leaders or the product engineers that your statement says that, okay, you can erase the context. Then is it really doing it? We experimented, we do a lot of POCs. Is it really forgetting about it when we pose the questions? Is it still responding on it? These kind of checks we do. Second thing is we also make sure humans are very well looking into things like the testing aspects of it, right? You cannot really automate and say, okay, my test cases are passed. So humans will very carefully check about
Is my data deleted from those folders or not? Everything we do very carefully, especially on the regulatory requirement front. And so I think the regulator job is safe from AI. So that's something to aspire to.
Even the testers who knows about regulations, it's gonna be multiplied. When if you look at what Mythos and Fabula went through in terms of Anthropic's 2 models that came out, and suddenly the government says that no, this is banned, and then they say okay, it is open for Americans. Then it finally said okay, it's open for others. So if you ask me, the regulator part of it, if you're aspiring to be one, I think it's the most safest job right now. Because we'll keep on making rules which the rest of the world is going to follow.
You hold the keys in that position, right? So you control everything. So thank you so much, Tristan. Manoj, I know you were laughing when you was talking about being able to make quick decisions. So coming to the flip side, you work for a huge organization. A lot of the strategy is top down. Okay? But you have transformed. You're on the path and you have achieved success there. If you can talk about 1 or 2 examples again here from a strategy perspective, what was it that company leadership looked at and the rest of the organization kind of followed that led to where you are?
Yeah. So Cisco has 85-ish thousand employees today. We were probably at 120K for all the layoff waves, but it's still a big number. The AI transformation era coincided with the leadership transformation era for us. We never had a chief product officer before. And about maybe like 7 to 8 years ago, the company, the CEO, who's been given the mandate to increase SaaS revenue as a percentage of the overall revenue. Because when I say Cisco, you don't really think of software. You think of networking, switches, whatnot. But because that tends to be a very lumpy business, you get orders, very cyclical and whatnot, there is a mandate to increase software as a percentage of the revenue. So they went out and hired this person from box.com. So he was the chief product officer there. And he started off as leading RBU, and today he is the chief product officer. So this entire 4 or 5 years luckily coincided a lot with when AI just became a thing for every one of us. And if there is one thing he was convinced and drove from day zero, is that Cisco missed the cloud era. Cisco cannot miss the AI era, which means you all would probably know the infamous positioning of Cisco as being, the stock price hitting $85 30 years ago and never reaching that until like 6 months ago. And there's a reason. We never managed to capitalize on the big transformations like mobile and cloud and all of that. Yes, the hardware was getting sold, but the company couldn't use it to its potential. So that part was very clear. In terms of the benefits, of course, the decision making is slow. There's like committees and whatnot. We get the flip side of it is we are pretty exclusive. So if you have followed what's happened when Mythos got released at that initial phase, right? There was this project called Project Glasswing announced by Anthropic and even maybe OpenAI at that time. So basically 12 companies get privileged access to these advanced models upfront because all those 12 of them were deemed as critical for the internet infrastructure. And Cisco was one of them. We were one of the very first large companies to become an OpenAI shop from a partnership standpoint, which means every employee, we get codecs as a tool, reasonably generous token budgets. And like any software or technology organization, obviously the initial top-down was, okay, all software engineering needs to happen with AI. And that's done reasonably well. Like, I don't think anyone can go back to writing a function with like their keyboard anymore, right? So you review, you build on top of it, and the velocity has increased and all of that happened. That worked very well. But there is a difference between adoption and outcomes, like everyone was talking about, right? As an organization, are we doing 3x more features in a year? Probably not. Although we all got like very good investments from an AI perspective. Maybe our feature velocity would have increased by 20%, let's say, versus a 2x increase in our token budgets. So there is that conundrum. One thing that that really became bottom up and something on the product side that I have been close to, I've been a part of, and my team was one of the first early adopters of this approach is PMs no longer going through this whole cycle of creating a PRD, working with the UX team to do a Figma or some sort of design, and then that going through a design review or an architecture review and whatnot. So what we did very early on is almost created a vibe coded or a vibe engineered alternative to my main product. So 5 of us, we would just build almost like a parallel version of the product. It would suck at scale. It will probably crash twice a day, but that's fine because it is allowing us to build the features we have in mind very easily, take it through the field feedback, and actually see whether it is addressing the kind of use cases we had imagined before even passing it on to engineering to burn their cycles. So that has just now become a very de facto way of building product for us at least. And I don't think there's going back at all in that sense. So designers, PMs, we all somewhat, there's this joke that there's no longer these very specific roles, right? Like all of us just are product builders. Engineers feel that way because they are able to give UX feedback using AI and vice versa. So that's been very profound from my perspective.
Interesting you said that. I think even for us at Forsys, as we are going through a transformation, a lot of what you said is resonating with me. The roles have changed, productivity, there's an overlap, right? You can leverage AI to create different outcomes, right? And you talked about creating, this new de facto way of operating where, you can build something small and test it and then hand it over to the engineering team. How has that significantly reduced your time to go to market?
It has definitely reduced the time to decide whether this feature is worth investing or not. Previously, we would have to feature flag it, do a small cohort, see whether it is producing the outcomes. When a traditional SaaS stat is only about, at least in enterprise software, 2 to 5% of features ever get used from a single company's perspective, right? At which 2 to 5%, of course, there will be some overlap, there will be some diversity, but which means the cost of trying out and saying no has become very low now. But at the same time, unfortunately, all of this adoption is coinciding with layoffs. And I know the previous panelists had an unconventional view, but the reality is definitely large corporations are either this is a balance sheet game, right? You either want AI-enabled or AI-driven hardware on your balance sheet, and you're converting some of your human costs into that, or you're trading off some of your current human labor for token budgets. It's really these two with all the hyperscalers. And that has definitely reduced the impact of it because everyone's a little insecure. They're like, oh, if I do, I'm important enough, I need to, validate this design, produce my own architecture stamp, say why not, this is the right way to do it, etc. So there's definitely that element. So maybe overall go-to-market has not sped up as much as we would have liked it to, but the iteration velocity has shrunk easily by 80%.
So the aspects of the cycle certainly
certain aspects, for sure.
So thank you. I think for some of the even mid-tier organizations as well, it's neither here nor there, but there will be a mix of learnings from the startup thought process and as well as what you're doing at Cisco. So I think that's a great takeaway. Anyways, again, coming to the finance side of things and drawing a little bit from what you said earlier on, the ROI for a lot of investments today in AI, there's a lot of push. Returns, and you said timeline-wise is very sensitive, but you don't see results in a quarter as of yet, maybe 2 quarters as well, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the markers that you look at when you put on that CFO hat to say, we can continue to pump money into this particular initiative versus saying, we need to pull back. This is not working.
Sure. And an interesting question. So I'll give you both sides of it, right? One, internally what we do, and secondly, when we go to clients, how do we, for lack of a better word, tell them saying that, okay, this is going to impact you within some timelines. Of course, we are not fortune tellers, so we don't tell them saying that 9, 12, 18 months is going to happen. But coming to Cognita internally, I think today we use AI for a lot of my MIS reportings, my financial reporting, investor reports. It's amazing. I think the way investor reports are being written today, it's at a different world altogether, but it has taken some time. It's not that it has done overnight with 6 months or 12 months of data. Today we have 60 months of data on the tool itself. We also look at a lot of public data, public reported data as well in the US as well as in India. Analyst reports and all those stuff. So it has now come to a layer wherein a lot of my reporting part of it, which previously I used to probably Google a little bit, rate a little bit and all those stuff. I think 80 to 90% of that is today thanks to the tool that I use. And it's a homegrown tool which we have built on top of Zillow. That's number one. Number two, we have had 326 people as of now. For that purpose, probably we would have shortlisted 1,000 resumes. So we have a recruitment tool which we use as well. So this is not a bot. It's not an ATS as well. It does the initial screening part of it, but it also schedules a lot of the interviews and helps the recruitment team in automating a lot of their functions as well, using AI in the sense it actually goes and looks up the person's Insta handle or the LinkedIn handle to see what was posted, what was not. It actually curates a lot of the questions. It also, I can't say with 100% accuracy, but if the person is using any AI tool at his or her end while answering questions in an interview, it can catch that as well, using eyeball tracking and all those stuff, right? So that is one use case. The other use case on ops, on the operations side of it, we are people oriented. So we do look at the skill set. We look at the last training that was done, who had attended, what was the scores of them getting cloud certified. So the entire learning development program, that is another tool. Now, these three tools that I gave you an example, today we are using it after probably 9 to 12 months of initial investments, which is what I had actually given a budget when it first came to me, right? So, and this was homegrown, so it did not mean too much of millions of billions of investments to be done. But what we realized is because it was a startup, unlike a larger organization, we come from huge organizations. I've worked in listed company all my life. It was easy and for us being nimble to make some of these decisions, saying that, okay, let's build this because we will want not only use it for Cognita, we can also go and use it for third-party customers and clients as well, wherein I go and talk to my client or listed CFOs out there saying that, guys, this is what I use. If you think Tableau is the end of the world or a BI dashboard of Oracle is the end of the world, come see what I build here. And as a result, I have won clients as well. So it may not be right for me to equate saying that, okay, we did this because this was something we felt that we could do it only internally, but this is a tool now we are showcasing it outwardly as well to clients wherein there is a need. But it all started from a need. So we didn't do it for the fancy part of it, saying that, okay, I want an investor report. I don't have an investor, so let me build an investor report. No, I have 31 investors, so I needed something which I could build every quarter so that I can present my reporting and give them the updates on business and financial metrics. We hired people, so we needed something which could help that hiring part of it. And as I said, the ops part of it, because we are a people-oriented thing. The second part is who was the sponsor? I think this is very important. Is a sponsor going to hold the narrative or also going to hold the outcome of it? First one, I was a sponsor because I said, okay, I need this. I'm involved in the entire ideation and entire design and how I want the report, everything. Second one was my CEO. Third one was my CHRO. And when we go to clients, we tell them saying that today, I don't know how many of you understand this, that we don't go and sell to CIOs and CTOs of company. None of my products or solutions are sold to a CIO or CTO. It starts from the business user. If it's a finance product, it goes to a CFO. Of course, the CIO is involved. I'm not saying his role is undermined or something. He is involved. But then the product functionalities and features are first sold to a CFO because he will connect to the product. He'll connect to the solution. He'll connect to what the platform accelerators has to build to him. Unless until you have an CFO who faces an analyst every quarter, he will not empathize with the product that I'm building for him, which actually could predict the questions that an analyst could ask. Unless you have a CHRO who's hiring 85,000, 100,000 people, he or she will not understand what is this recruitment tool that we have built for it. So the CIO comes in when the security aspects comes in, let's say whether we are HIPAA qualified, whether in US, whether we are CPA qualified or certified, or SOC certified and all those stuff. So 2 things. One, who is the sponsor? How much is the budget? That is internal. Now we have started building tools which internally we use, which could also go and use to the existing client base, because we have got a huge client base now. Third thing, of course, timeline. I think, as I said earlier, I'm not a sunk cost fallacy guy. So it's basically a cognitive bias, wherein you put in a lot of effort, put a lot of money, and there's hope, saying, okay, if not today, if not Monday, on Friday, things will improve. If not Friday, then the next Monday will improve. Anything that we start 2 quarters is what we look at it. Many times it's because I have not given the right requirement, or my expectation from the product has not been great. And we have had endless like that. These are good ones that I told you. If I start listing out the ones that didn't work out, probably the dinner would not be enough.
I was going to ask you, give one example where it didn't work out.
Okay, so one example which didn't work out, we're doing M&As out there, right? So I wanted an M&A checklist. So when I first went and put it in Claude, it actually gave me a very generic checklist. So I wanted a checklist wherein I was acquiring a SaaS company because the SaaS valuations were down. I thought it's a good time for us to go and acquire one company and add to the portfolio. And we actually tried building a complete M&A, because I've done M&As in the past for Hitachi, so I knew what all I needed. But it never gave me a due diligence checklist the way I wanted it to be. It kept on showing me a lot of errors, so much that I realized that I was ending more time in trying to refine the product as well as doing it myself, or work with the Big Four and do that myself. Because since we were a startup, we didn't want to spend money on a Big Four. We thought we would create a product that we could also sell it to as part of our CFO Copilot offering, but that didn't take off. I think we did it for 60 days, and the LOI was already signed, so I didn't have the time. So it was probably related to rush. Some point of time in the future, I'll give it another shot.
Understood. I think a lot of what you said is about, I think, if it works for us, might as well work for the market. If it's not working for us, then...
And a problem to solve.
Yeah,
like that people miss that part. Right? AI is not a fancy stuff. You look at the kind of work that's been done on customer support, drug discovery, attrition planning. All these are genuine business problems, including codecs and cursors and windsurfs. They're all, my folks use this. Today, somebody spoke about tokenization. You know what? That is my next MIS metrics that I'm using right now, because the amount of slow tokens that we're using, sometimes I lose my sleep on that.
I think it's a problem statement for a lot of organizations right now that are jumping headfirst into the end.
There are business solutions to it, because companies will come with tokenization, token meters applications as well.
Yes, to optimize, which department should get what, and, I think those solutions also will come up. Thank you. I think very insightful there as well. Now, I think the last part of the conversation, I wanted to kind of look to the future a little bit. If we can start with you, Sumesh, this time, having heard from everyone and, looking at the landscape the way it is, I think so many of us have lived through disruptions before, but this disruption feels a little different, unlike others we've seen, or maybe might end up to be quite similar too, right? What is, something today a business leader should know, should understand well, to drive organizations forward and be successful? I know successful is a very big word. Success could mean many different things. But what are one of those 2 things that you think business leaders should need, at least to be in this change that we are seeing today with all of this AI coming in?
I think that's really a tough one, if you ask me, because Moore's law, which is something that we at technology industry used to follow, that was about 3 years of disruption. If you ask me, in last 4 years, from 2022 November till now, the amount of change that I've seen, or transformation that I've seen AI and AI models have brought in, I don't know if I have an answer that I'm not even saying in 1 year. I'm saying in 6 months how things are changing, because it's been so rapid. And in my last visit in California, I happened to take a ride on Waymo. It's a driverless car. I have been seeing that car over the last 3 years. And every time I thought, should I get in? Should I not get it? Should I get in? I didn't have the confidence. This time the car was full in Sunnyvale and Fremont. And every other car, it is so much that Ubers were taking longer time and Waymos were available faster. So, okay, yeah, let me just take it. Believe me, guys, it's amazing. It takes turns and it drives like a Hyderabadi driver, because it takes overturns and all those stuff. There's nobody out there. Of course, the joystick is controlled by a remote team. I could figure it out. You can't touch that and all. The reason I'm saying so is, imagine if Waymo has come in What will Uber do? And that's it. Uber is now invested in a driverless car. Lyft is another mobility provider in the US. They've invested in driverless cars. So I belong from the yellow black cab era. Ubers came in. I never expected that would come in and transform. Today, I don't use a yellow black cab. I don't think it is even existing as well. Ubers are going. I can see that. If Waymo can come, believe me, in Hyderabad also, Waymo will come one day. It's a matter of time. I don't see that because I've taken an 25-minute ride and I was very comfortable. I didn't feel scared at all. Initially, I was a little scared because it starts talking to you. Welcome, when you're going here, please touch this and all those stuff. And then I started thinking it will go straight, it will come back straight. Then I saw it is turning also. Then I said it's overtaking as well. I said, then it's okay, boss. If it can overtake, then it breaks. It is seamless. You won't realize that it's not a human who is driving it. These are all Jaguar cars. They're now working with the BYDs and all, but it's going to come. So to your point on what businesses should look at it, I think first, innovation. I could never think that fiction, whatever we have seen in movies, is going to become a reality. If today you look at it, everything that we have seen in an MI movie or a Matrix is right in front of us. If companies stop innovating, today there is a lot of bloodbath on the stock market for SaaS companies. I personally believe IT companies will evolve. They are not going to do ERP and SI and system integration work, but there will be a time wherein, because of the proprietary data that a lot of the IT companies hold for clients that they have, the AI models would need to come to them. The LLMs would need to come to them for the SI part of the AI implementation. Because today, all that we see on AI chatbots and LLMs, Geminis, and you name it, Mistral and all, it's all public data. It's not proprietary data. They don't know what is Stancy's customer base or ICICI Bank's customer base and all those stuff. So one, innovate. Second, have very strong data governance policies. I think future of every business is going to depend on data governance, how we are doing it, have the right tools. I think he spoke about guardrails a lot. I do expect regulatory environment to change because India still now today does not have an AI law. Our DPDP Act itself came after ends in 2013. The Companies Act brought in, and after that DPDP came in, and it's still very weak considering what we see in the West. So I think data governance is very important because you won't be catering to only Indian markets, you'll be catering to the West as well. There you'll be tested for a lot of data governance like GDPR and all this stuff. And the last one would be invest in talent. I think if you ask, today we are seriously seeing a dearth of talent in terms of talent that is AI native. Because AI is not a new phenomenon. It's been there from 1977, 78. I think Nandan Nilekani in one of his talks, he said that he had AI as one of his papers in early 77, 78 itself. But the conversational part of AI and the practical use cases of AI is now coming up, and it is transforming every industry. You name an industry, it's transforming it. But do we have enough talent that understands to build? In somewhere I was listening that only 1,500 people on this earth can build LLMs. So imagine if you are one amongst those 1,500, you'll be like weighed in gold. But then those 1,500 are not going to come to a startup of mine or his. Cisco is standing in front, they'll all go to Cisco first. That's a brand power, right? How do I attract that talent? How do I get that talent? How do I reskill that talent? A lot of the people in the 35s to 45s, I think it's very important for them to have the AI native skills coming in so that they can get trained and companies can get them. Before, when I was at Hitachi, we used to always complain saying that we are not getting English-speaking kids from colleges. When we used to go to the government says, why are you not hiring? So how do we hire, sir? These kids cannot speak English properly, and these guys are all, this is like the tech era, SI era. They can't speak in front of customers. Now, we don't get people who are qualified in AI. So I think talent, innovation, governance. This would be the three parts. Sorry, long answer.
No, thank you. I think that's your insights of what we're looking for. I think on the Waymo car, if the Waymo car can be driven like a Hyderabadi driver, that is true AI transformation.
Yes, it can.
That is the ultimate state that anybody can get to. Thank you. Manoj, your thoughts?
Yeah, you asked for one or two, but MBAs like to talk in threes, right? So I'll give you three. See, the first one, I forgot who said this, but again stuck with, and this informs my philosophy for software. And I'm going to base all my stuff on just like software, right? So one is software will be like your home cooked meal. What does that mean? You can't compare my home cooked meal to your home cooked meal. It's your way of doing things. You've grown with it. You've adapted it to what suits you, what you like, and what you do. But sometimes, occasionally, I go to the restaurant and eat. I like that. But I always fall back to what works for me as a way to do things. And I think when the cost of building and when the cost of iterating becomes so low, every personalization is a very trivial word, but the home cooked meal is a great analogy because it's not just about, it remembers your name and your preferences and all of that. It's really like how you want to interact with it. And I personally have gone through this. I no longer use all those typical SaaS tools like Jiras and Confluences and whatnot that every product manager needs to use, because all of them come with an MCP server and whatnot. I use them as their systems of record. That's it. The data exists there, but it's all like my own custom dashboards because I like working in a certain way. So that's one. Second, there is, and this goes back to, I think, the earlier point, even though SaaS may or may not be dead, I think the margin compression there is real. There is no longer a moat in converting an idea into software and expecting a 60 to 80% gross margin on top of it. So unless you have a crazy regulatory moat or a data moat or some sort of a hardware attach where your software makes the job to be done easier, you're not going to be able to command a premium, right? So that is almost like a macro take on how if there are, you're pursuing, let's say, pure SaaS AI startups with zero distribution mode and purely based on idea, I don't think it's going to command a premium at all. And the last one, before Salesforce maybe popularized this word or this idea of headless, I think for those of us who are old enough, we'll remember the API first approach, the mobile first approach when you're building software. Like that, I definitely think headless is a great way to do software first today. Because if you have not tried it, I would definitely encourage you to pick your coding tool of choice, Codex or Cloud Code or whatever, and whatever tool you're using on a day-to-day basis. It could be even Salesforce. Just configure that MCP server in these coding agents and try to use it for whatever job you wanted it to be done. And I guarantee there is no going back because, and this is particularly valuable for tools that you don't use on a daily basis, actually. It's fine. Maybe you've grown to be like fast and efficient on a tool that you're already acclimatized with. But let's say you want to go and understand some new tool as a part of your job. It's just so easy to go and like talk to that software with a coding agent and an MCP server. And really, there's no other better way to do the job and not focus learning how to use the tool. So those would be my.
Right. Well, I think when you talk about headless, I think that experience layer on top of the existing systems, I think that will be where the focus is in creating those experiences for the customer as well. I think is a great point for us to take it. Krishnan, I think finally you.
So my thoughts, before even I go very high level on these, I stick to the fundamentals. The first thing is value creation. So when I mean by value creation, if you need to put it in simple terms, there are two types of shoppers, right? When you need to go for grocery shopping, people who write the list, they go to the grocery store and they buy it. And people who go and then pick whatever they see, they buy. So in first one, they know what exactly is needed. They don't forget some important things. At the same time, there is no waste of shopping. Waste of buying, right? Like wastage. So same thing is applicable to your software building as well, or the solutions that you're building. Are you seeing some problems and then building a solution? Or since the tokens and a lot of AI buzz is there, are you building something because you have tokens and then trying to market it that,
okay, my solution can solve these problems, but again, genuinely, they may not be really some problems, right? So my suggestion is you always solve some problem or create some value. Definitely that is going to be valued by your customers. That is first thing. Second is, again, trust. So when you're building something, make sure the trust factor is never disrupted, because be it regulatory requirements or any client's business. So since you have coins, the tokens available, you try to do something differently, a fancy thing, but at the end of the day, if it is disrupting a client's business, the trust factor is broken and it is really, really hard to build it back. The third thing and the last thing I would say is the sustainability aspect of it. Again, all of us know how much it takes, for every AI token or every solution that you are building for the purpose of just using some tokens and building things. Some amount of energy, water usage, everything is associated. So unless there is a real need or real solution that you are building, just for the sake of displaying that, okay, our unit has used these many tokens, or our organization has used these many tokens, we are also AI adopted company, I suggest please be cautious about the earth. We have only one. So these three things, I stick to the fundamental. I think some of those pillars will always remain irrespective of what the landscape might look like, right?
Sorry, couldn't hold myself. So this funny anecdote when he said the problem solving, right? So there's a new startup in Bangalore. I don't know how many of you have looked at it. Their problem statement is once you come back from any trip, they'll unpack your bags. That's a startup, and they're getting funding. So we are living in those terms. And interestingly, I was making fun of this, and my wife says, that's a great idea. We should use that. I said, what, are you crazy? They know. So if you have bags, they will come, they will take it to the laundry, they will clean it up. Dude, life is so fun. So you never know what business problem are you solving. Many times what looks very trivial could be $1 billion idea. And you guys can look up for that company, forget the name of company.
Snap it.
Snap it? Okay, they get people to peel onions also. It's the same one? Okay. So you can call somebody to peel onions as well. So I don't know. And very soon maybe they will become a unicorn and we are still in the so-called, a Cognita may not get to a unicorn status maybe as fast as the Snapit does. So because people already know the name of it. So that's a business problem that I was talking about. So that also could be a business problem.
Maybe they are creating value creation for customers we don't see.
There's also a company that helps you get people to carry shopping bags. Yeah, and they're also funded. so more along those lines. And thank you so much. I think, very insightful. Thank you so much for giving us your time. So do we have time for questions from the audience, or are we out of time? We are out of time. If there's a question from the audience that we can take, we have time for one. I think that's a no. Thank you once again. Appreciate it. Well, that way. Yeah. Sure, doesn't actually a big slot. We're talking, yeah. All right, then, maybe it.
Sumesh, for such a candid look at what it actually takes to move from past adoption. What stood out tonight is that AI adoption and AI transformations aren't the same, and most organizations are somehow still figuring out where they're actually standing. Well, there's no single playbook, but there's a clear need to move with an intent and not just with a momentum. Well, to close us out this evening, I'd like to invite Srinivas Tamuri, our Chief Operating Officer, to share a few final thoughts. Srini focuses on helping enterprise run AI fast across revenue, commerce, and agentic AI transformation, and has been closely involved in shaping conversations like this across our clients and partners. Over to you, Srini.
Thank you so much, Joshi. Thank you so much for all the panelists, speaker, audience. Perspective of why Apprise, right? I think we started this almost 3-4 years ago in US. So our idea is like, there are, we are part of the Bay Area. There are millions of startups. Everybody's talking about AI. We thought like, okay, look, everybody's talking about AI. Like, is it being adopted or not? How well it is adopted within the enterprises. So we created a CXO forum, around 50 of them. We started engaging all of them to talk about how the enterprise are actually using AI, how in their enterprises. So we have done almost four or five series, I think, every quarter. So for the last couple of years. This year, this is everything changed. I think we have seen drastic change in how, and how is AI adoption is there everywhere, right? I think everybody is using in their own processes, business, IT. Talk about every nook and corner, everybody's using AI. But it's about transformation too. There's a great topic that we started today. We wanted to use similar forum in India to understand how India, being a part of epicenter of the entire technology, how things are being perceived and understood here. So great conversations. Thank you so much for all the panel. Kavindra, thank you so much for coming here. Great insights on Salesforce. We are a Salesforce partner. We are a premium partner at Salesforce. And we always respect everything that's coming from Salesforce as well. A lot of the human side that we talked about is pretty much relevant, and humans will have to evolve what AI cannot do. They'll start doing it. That's how they can survive. Right? So that's how we see from what we are hearing and continues from AI. On the first panel that we had on AI adoption and AI transformation, right? I know Jyotsna, Krishnakant, and Sujit, thank you so much for your insights, right? One thing that we have seen consistently in the last several months, starting with the denial in the month of December and January. Since we have a lot of customers, consolidation has been the story. Consolidation. So consolidation of roles across, and we have seen it working in our own customers. Consolidation of, if you look at a project team of 10, consolidating into one has been a story for a lot, at least a handful of customers where they are really consolidating and see how one person can deliver multiple things. And similarly, the consolidation of solutions, right? AI SaaS solutions. A lot of CIOs are given budget cuts, as you all know. The consolidation is not just coming from a resourcing, consolidation is coming from solutions as well. So a lot of CIOs are, of course, in all your major ERP, CRM, HCM, all those things is going to remain, but there are a lot of ecosystem of smaller solutions around it are being replaced very fast. So these are the two major things that we are seeing in the market right now. I don't know, whatever we speak today may not be relevant next month or next week. So, but we have to just see and watch what's going to happen and then adopt those things in our lifestyle and in our workplace as well. But thank you so much again, Sumesh, Krishnan, and Manoj, great insights. There are a lot of connects. I'm also from Cisco. Forsys is formed with a lot of ex-Cisco guys. So where we have done an entire Cisco Commerce Workspace, where we built entire platform. Now we are trying to help other customers how they can transform their revenue as well. Of course, Cognita, Firoz is my senior at college, at CSO. So, there's a lot of good friends around, present partners. I appreciate you, participating in this panel. Very good insights. Thank you so much for the audience coming in. Appreciate your time, taking time. Hopefully, it's it is all a lot more insightful for you, each of you, and you're worth your time. Thank you so much again.
Closing remarks and bringing today's event to a wonderful conclusion. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a moment to express a sincere gratitude to all the leaders and sharing their thoughts. May I invite our keynote speaker, Mr. Kavindra Patel, to please join us on the stage to receive a small token of appreciation. For that, I'd like to call Srini to please do the honors.